Okay, so now that I had more time, I thought I'd do an update for you guys on the Aries Vortex. And so I'll just do, now that I have a little more time, I'll do like a more open interpretation so you guys will understand a little more fully. So we have Saturn here in the Aries Vortex in Aries, which of course is the world degree, 1 degree Aries as of Friday, both Neptune and Saturn. That's where they met. That was the perfection. And Saturn, of course, is fear. Ultimately, it's the fear of the uncertainty of reality. But it's also the calcification of reality, so it's a reality check. Whereas Neptune is the hope of reality, which can also be a form of escapism. Together, Neptune and Saturn form a loss of something gained, something lost. Clarity around what that is. Saturn brings clarity to the midst of Neptune. Clarity in the sense of what's not, what reality is not. And so there was some kind of illusion that has fell through, some kind of lie that has been realized. And this was part of our Aries vision vortex. And that was made clear. Well, at the same time, our Aries vortex vision was made more clear and precise. So part of our vision was made clear to us and let go of. So it's a letting go of something that wasn't real, really real. And a lot of things happened on Friday. Gary and I did the video with Mario of Monaco 64. That was great. That's how the day started, right around the Aries Vortex in the early mornings of the Pacific, Western United States, at least for me. And I think that day several things happened. I think the Supreme Court vetoed Trump's attempts at tariffs. And that's very interesting because the tariffs are being utilized in this kind of grand World War III kind of scenario. You know, what's the next economic structure? Is the dollar going to remain the world currency, or is that shifting? And will boundaries be dissolved, as is the case during all vortexes of this happens. This is an aspect that happens around every 20-30 years, and this is what usually occurs: extreme weather, boundaries dissolving, especially political boundaries, wars begin or end, usually having to do with Russia, Ukraine, and we have those themes today, as well as Middle Eastern themes as well. I think it was the Balfour Declaration in 1916-17 was declared by England, and that was during a vortex as well. It's the same as like the wall coming down in Berlin. That was around 1989. That was another vortex year. And so also the extreme weather, and depending on the element of the vortex, in this case it's fire, but because we're having this unique, as you guys can see on the screen, this unique configuration where Pluto and Uranus are going to be both sextiling the and also being the midpoint of the Aries vortex, it's adding in, Pluto's adding in kind of, it rules death, Neptune rules poison, Saturn rules reality, and Uranus rules sudden things. So what to watch out for: extreme earth changes and having to do with the air, poisoning of the air. And there's been fogs. There's been lots of reports of fogs, mysterious fogs in the last year or two, where people have been getting sick. And there was a recent chemical leak somewhere in the eastern United States. And extreme weather certainly happened since Friday, with snowstorms in the west coast, and in the east coast a coming blizzard is prepping. Some other events occurred. I think Prince Andrew was arrested and released, which is more of an act on the stage of the show, on the geopolitical scene. But there'll probably be more such arrests. It's just looks like a showing to me, symbolic presenting. And also the significance of earthquakes. I had spoken about that in relation to the eclipse, which was on Tuesday, February 17th. That was in Aquarius, 28 degrees, squaring Uranus and Taurus at 28 degrees. And I was talking about that as being right for earthquakes because of the tension between those two fixed signs being a square. And a lot of earthquakes did occur, but nothing major until today, or was it yesterday? There was a major earthquake in Southeast Asia, and I think it was a 7 point something. I wrote down where, but don't have the notes for it right now. And so these are all very like extreme kind of incidents. Oh yeah, and also the war breaking out, kind of like a civil war breaking out in Mexico with a cartel leader being assassinated, and now we're dealing with the reprisal of that and threats to certain areas in Mexico that are usually not threatened. And so this is all in the direction of new boundaries being laid out. The wars ahead of us are wars for territory, wars for new financial systems. It seems that there'll be new maps of the world drawn out in regards to what the world will look like after these wars are done. And we're now in the midpoint of the big Jupiter cycle. This is 2020 to 2032, where Jupiter passes through each sign. About a year each sign. Currently Jupiter's in Cancer. It'll go into Leo in July, which is why July is seeming like a big, intense blow up, because once Jupiter goes into Leo, it will oppose Pluto. And so that's like something big having to do with Pluto's death, intensity, purification, power, authenticity, and there'll be more aspects to follow. And then in August, 2 more eclipses. Presently, with the eclipse on the 17th, we are now in the shadowlands of the 2 eclipse periods, and we have the fire horse year having begun. And so fire is also the element of the Aries Vortex, and the Aries stellium in April is going to be very intense with over 8 planets in Aries. That's like a revolutionary fervor of intensity for that time period. As far as the present, we're all experiencing the fallout right now of this Aries Vortex vision, a part of it, but our vision is still going through. It's just we're handling all the reality checks and details of it as Saturn slowly moves out of the vortex, so that Neptune is there clear and shining with a vision for humanity, a compassionate vision for humanity. And let's see, hopefully I don't forget, there was one more element, and that is that the second eclipse of this current Shadowlands is going to be on March 3rd. Now, March 3rd, there's going to be a total lunar eclipse, and it's going to be at 12 degrees Virgo, and it's a blood moon eclipse. So it's the last total lunar eclipse until 2029. I think New Year's of 2029. And a total eclipse opens up a vortex, or a field of energy, almost like being on salvia, where you're like going into this experience, where souls are going into an intense field of experience, an experience of temporal intensity, and then coming out at the other end. Now, because it's a total eclipse, also as usual with eclipses, souls pass, new souls come in. But a total eclipse is very, very powerful to the energy of the world. And so being in a space of compassion and being in your heart during such a time is something I would encourage. Also, not to be too outward and external during this time. Of course, it'll depend on, this eclipse will be hitting certain areas of the world, which I'll update in the comments area of the video. And it's really a period of intensity. And in a way, this eclipse, because it's in Virgo, it's about organizing chaos. It's about letting go of what's no longer correct, whatever's holding you up. You know, we're still making our Aries Vortex, we're still making our vision clear. So we're getting rid of what's not correct, what's not needed for it, what part of it was lies. We're letting go of all that. That's what this recent kind of moment and perfection of Saturn and Neptune in Aries was thematically conveying to us. And this is happening on many levels. And so just observe and do what needs to be done. And in 4 days we start the Pisces retrograde in Mercury. And so I'll be seeing you guys on the other side. This will not go to Mercury, will not return direct until around March 20th. So this is quite a, feels like a long period because we're still in February, but it's just, you know, roughly around maybe 25 days from now. And then once we hit Spring Equinox, a whole kind of new vision is awaiting us. We'll have woken from the slumber of the Piscean dreamland, and we'll see where we're at. Okay, hopefully this was helpful to you guys. Feel free to comment, ask questions, or share insights. I certainly didn't cover everything that occurred on Friday or Tuesday, the eclipse day. Just thought I'd share a little, and the best to all of you. Thanks for listening.